Hello and welcome to my first video on my new YouTube channel. I am Mirjam, a certified psychological astrologer, and this channel is all about astrology and sharing my passion and profession with you. I'm very excited to start. Before we jump in, please consider subscribing to the channel if you enjoy my content, and like the video and leave me a comment below. I'd love to know your thoughts. So, what better way to start than with Meghan Markle, right? Everybody's still talking about Meghan. After she and Harry gave that long interview on Oprah's show, which sparked incredible drama and controversy. People are speculating over and over whether her claims about the British royal family and all the bullying and her suffering and even racial discrimination are actually true, or if there's some sort of agenda behind it. As always, my interest is to look at what kind of development is going on inside a person at any given time, since that is then reflected in their outer world and reality. So I'm looking at proceedings from that person's inner world perspective, okay? Good. First, let's take a quick look at Meghan's natal chart. Here it is. She has a Leo sun here in the first house. So there's someone who likes to be seen and who has a need to express their personality in a very direct way. And what we see in a chart's first house is openly on show, right? So this does indicate a tendency to be quite self-centered too, especially because of the Leo energy here. We also see that personal relationships, more precisely working towards compromise and fairness in her relationships and finding balance when dealing with her outside world, are pretty much at the center of Meghan's soul journey. And we can be sure of that since her chart ruler, the moon, here is conjunct the 7th house ruler, Saturn, and also Jupiter in the sign of Libra. Her Cancer rising with a Moon-Saturn constellation. So Moon rules the first house, Saturn rules the 7th house. Yeah, that can point towards quite a cautious and insecure persona, and also a cautious approach to life, which is a stark contrast to her show star Leo core, described by the Sun and also Mercury here in the first house. And this, underneath the glamorous facade, could potentially make her quite dependent and reliant on support and getting reassurance from others, mainly people with standing and some level of influence. That's because Saturn rules the 7th house. And that's what Saturn likes. Influence, right? So now we look at the current transit chart. Let's put the transit chart on. Here it is. Of the Duchess of Sussex. Is she even still a Duchess, theoretically? Or what about her and Harry's titles at the moment? I'm not sure. Okay, so in view of the events in question, namely the revealing interview and media scandal, there are two planetary positions here that stand out. The first one is Saturn, currently in Aquarius here, directly opposing her Sun, and the second is Pluto here on the descendant. Yeah, it's been going back and forth for a while, and that's quite heavy energy, these two together. And Pluto as the scandal planet in her house of relating with the outside world, that's very fitting, I think. And this transit fundamentally is about profound changes in relationships and the way one connects with others. In this case, we could perhaps see a story of fighting an enemy out there, some power struggles, of victimhood. As far as I'm aware, she was indeed being bombarded with criticism and accused of playing the victim by a lot of people. whatever transformative stuff Pluto triggers in us, it's definitely intense in nature, and it can be very destructive, especially if the energy can't be channeled wisely and can't be controlled by our conscious thinking and awareness. And many people do believe that her goal is to literally destroy the royal family, and Pluto's energy can do just that, potentially. Pluto in such a dominant position can refer to a story here that is driven by manipulation from any side. So, in regards to all the accusations and the blame directed towards the royals and the media, it's definitely possible that she is the culprit here, at least to some extent. At the same time, Pluto and Saturn, we know they both want to expose the absolute truth and the facts. And Pluto doesn't care about demolishing anything in his way or causing a big deal of hurt and pain in order to achieve that total authenticity. And this big Oprah interview, it seems to me, is Meghan embarking on some sort of a vengeance trip. This is about settling a score in some way. Scorpio energy, the tendency to play mind games, is not really strong in her nature. I mean, in her natal chart. But Pluto is the ruler of her fifth house here, the fifth house cusp in Scorpio. And the fifth house is the house of Leo. So again, like Saturn opposing her sun, this transit is connected to ego issues, to being seen and recognized, loving the attention. And Saturn rules the seventh house, where Pluto currently is, which only strengthens the ongoing problematic engagement and entanglement with her outside world. No matter if the public believe her depicting herself as a victim in this or not, or if her perception and interpretation of what happened are deemed justified, Saturn and Pluto, both with a Sun-Leo connection, tell us it's very likely that she feels she was treated unfairly up to the point of being abused. It's a very personal and very important thing to her, which has caused her pain, and that needs to be expressed. So there's a strong desire here to tell people her side of the story. As I mentioned before, during such a process that heavily involves Pluto, the destroyer, chances are that person will stop at nothing. Okay. There's one other planetary aspect I'd like to add here. We can't leave that one out, which is Uranus. Uranus currently here in Taurus and here in her natal chart in the fifth house. And Uranus rules Meghan's eighth house natally here, and it's in the fifth. And that's another Sun-Pluto link. And Uranus is now being activated by transiting Pluto's sextile from the seventh house. And you see that here, Pluto and Uranus sextile. This could translate into something like, you did this horrible thing to me, now I'm taking revenge on you. It's almost a bit like finding an outlet for that inner torment and tension that Pluto indicates, and the rage and the drama, and being able to put the blame on somebody. One recent thing that I read was that she is vindictive and creating enemy after enemy, which is clearly Pluto's signature all over it. This accusation came in relation to Prince Philip's death, when she was sort of trying to claim the spotlight again, making headlines. She was going to sue Piers Morgan. And transiting Uranus, of course, is also just hitting the square to her sun. Uranus, sun, square. And that's adding more fuel to the fire. And it's likely making her feel like she needs to drop all restraint and just not care anymore and let it all out. Another conclusion is that yes, Meghan is getting huge media exposure from all this drama, which pleases her Leo sun for sure, but underneath, I reckon she must feel very vulnerable and insecure at the same time. With Saturn, Sun, there's definitely a need to feel relevant and respected, and a fear of being undervalued and neglected or shut out and cast aside. This can make you feel pretty small in terms of your sense of self, since the Sun represents our core being. So overall, it is a pretty tough combination of transits because it highlights Meghan's weak points, makes her so vulnerable. Yeah, I very much hope you enjoyed this brief analysis of Meghan's chart, and please let me know in the comments what you think might have been her true motives for revealing all of this rather explosive information, and if the end goal is indeed to wreck the royal family and their reputation as a whole. I'll see you all on the next video, potentially about Meghan's daughter, who was born today. And I hope to see you all soon. Take care.